welcome to CosmoMuse Tarot and my weekly Friday series with a question you can bring to ask the cards. And I've been switching a little bit between just ask a question that's more open-ended and the yes, no, maybes, and it seems people really like the yes, no, maybes. I sometimes struggle with how black and white those can be, but I've been playing around with it and I think I've found a way to do it that makes me more comfortable, but that also gets you your yes, no, maybe. Okay, so that aside, let's look at your 4 piles, and you're welcome to bring any question here you want. Phrase it in the way that getting a yes would be a positive outcome in your mind. And yeah, so let's look at our 4 piles. We've got flower agate for pile 1. We've got green or aqua citrine for pile 2. Ooh. We've got opalite for pile 3. And this is a dendrite jasper for pile 4. So feel free to pause here if you need some time to gaze over the piles and feel which one is drawing you in as having the aligned message for you. More than welcome to have more than one question and picking more than one pile for each question. Or I should say picking different piles for each question. Yeah, so pause here if you need. Timestamps will be in the descriptions and I will see you in your readings. Hello, pile 1. You guys picked the flower agate pile. And I will put your stone up here to kind of anchor your reading in. So to start this reading, we're going to do a little bit of investigation into your question. So that said, if your question is super black and white, sort of is this happening or isn't it? Does this person or doesn't this person, that kind of thing, I'm going to ask that you add in an investigative question that's more open-ended, something you would want to know a little bit more about, more deeply about, something in relation to your question. So phrasing that more open-ended may start with how, what, why kind of thing. And if your question isn't as like super black and white, you don't necessarily need to do that. We're just going to get some context and some depth and insight into your question. So whatever feels right to you. If you feel the need to kind of add in a secondary kind of investigative question, I will leave that up to you. So I will just kind of give 15 or 20 minutes of seconds, not minutes, of silence, so you can kind of feel into that and add in an investigative question if you feel the need to. Okay, if you need more time, feel free to pause. And we are going to flip over these 3 cards just to get a sense of a little bit of insight and illumination into what's going on in the background of your question. And then we'll do some tarot confirmation cards as well. So we've got flow, flexibility, definitely feeling a trend there, and patience. So I do want to mention that as I was preparing your pile and kind of tuning into your stone, which helps me tune into the group. I felt some uncertainty coming through. And so it doesn't surprise me, some of these cards that have come up, flow and flexibility. I get that sense of go with the flow, be flexible, be adaptable, be open to pivots, be open to different points of view, be open to kind of surrendering into where things are going. Because I think that's something that's necessary, because maybe there is some uncertainty, not necessarily saying that in the context of a yes or no, but there's within you, like emotionally, maybe there's some uncertainty being felt. And maybe that's because there's just like more explanation, more context, more time, more something that's needed. And with that, things tend to change, tend to evolve. And I do get the sense here that whatever answer you end up getting in the yes-no spectrum, this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. There's probably some waiting you've already engaged in, and it's probably some time still that needs, like something needs to marinate here a little bit more. Like cooking a stew, it takes a long time for all of the flavors to combine and alchemize and really meld into each other. And I feel like you're halfway through the stew. You've had some patience, you've done a little work with that, but there's still halfway to go. A lot of simmering is needed, a lot of taste testing and tweaking the salt level and the different flavor levels to get the right taste. So there's like a lot of nuance I'm feeling in this, and it's just kind of like, be open-minded. Whatever answer you do get, I do get the sense that something will come of it. Even if you get a no, whatever you're asking about is like something is happening in the genre of this, at least. Okay, let's get a few tarot cards as confirmation. We've got 6 of Cups. Seven of Coins. Ooh, a whole bunch of cards flew, but we'll take this one. And 7 of Swords. Let's see. Got 6 and 2 sevens. That's an interesting sequence. Something is alchemizing. I can't help but think of the stew when I just look at this image, not necessarily what card this represents, but like the image here is like something is stewing, something's melding and combining. I think where this investigative digging is, what this is pointing out also is like with flow and flexibility, why these are coming up is like maybe there are some memories from your past that have you feeling a little bit fixed or not opening your mind enough. Like there's some nostalgia attached here, but it's sort of holding back some evolution. So there's like something you might need to let go of. And with that 7 of Swords, I think indicating to me that need to kind of let go of sort of nostalgic desires around this question, or normalized expectations around this question. Part of the patience that's needed is it's going to take some time for you to maybe detangle from old ways of thinking or doing that will allow something about your question to finally evolve. You know, and Seven of Coins also is an indication of like time needed and patience needed as you sort of invest in cultivating something, but also sort of needing to let go of old attitudes, preconceptions, attachments. Anything that's keeping you sort of trapped or oppressed from doing things the way you want to do them, or that feel authentic and individualistic to you. It's like too much worry on what maybe others might think or how others do, or yeah, that kind of thing. There's like a process taking place to kind of detangle you from that. A process of helping you to flow and pivot from what other thinks or wants, and from old preconceptions within you, to kind of morph. There's like changes happening within you that are affecting where this question is going and how it's evolving. Yeah, okay, so I hope that investigation brings some kind of illumination for you. We are going to move now into the portion where we're going to get your yes, no, maybe. And the way I'm going to do this is I just have this sense that, you know, like people come to a certain reading because it has a certain energy that may relate to, like, kind of pick up on a thread of what they're going through. But in a collective reading, I don't necessarily feel like outcomes are always going to be the same for everybody. And that's where I struggle with the yes-no part. So the way I have myself been flexible and sort of evolved this to feel more authentic to how I feel about a yes-no is to create piles within the pile. So I'm going to create 3 piles, and then I'm going to roll a dice, a 1 through 12 sided dice, in conjunction with the pile you choose, that is going to bring us a yes, no, maybe, with a little bit of insight into that as well. Okay, so I am going to give you another 10 or so seconds of quiet for you to tune into these 3 piles and feel into which one has your yes, no, maybe answer. On top of that, so whichever pile you choose, when I get to that, I will be rolling this 12-sided dice. And to me, it's a spectrum. 1 is pretty much a no. 12 is like definitely a yes. But in general, 1 through 5 would lean no. 6 and 7 would indicate a maybe, like there's things that are fluid within the question that are still changing. And then 8 through 12 would indicate closer, you know, in the spectrum to yes. So if you got a 12, super yes. If you got an 8, it's like, yeah, I think so, kind of thing. So I hope that helps. So I'm going to give you about 10 seconds of quiet for you to tune into these cards. Okay, let's start with pile 1. We are going to roll the dice first to get your answer, and then we'll look at a little bit of context with the card that connects to it. So 9, which is leaning yes. And the card you have is Frog, stepping into your power, Don't take a backseat in your story. It's time to step up. Okay, pile 2. Let's roll your dice. We have 7, so that's a maybe. And some context here, you got Crane, surrender. Let go of limiting beliefs. Be as expansive in your thoughts as your soul is. So my sense is like you can sway this to a yes, the more you're open to kind of shedding, like we talked about in the investigation, you know, preconceived notions, old expectations, old norms, things like that, that will help you to maybe be more flexible about how you're growing or where this question is going, that kind of thing. Okay, pile 3. 9, so that is a pretty good yes. And we've got monkey, inner child, don't take life too seriously. Beautiful. Okay, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. I hope this was helpful. I always appreciate the likes and shares and subscribes if this reading did connect for you. Also always appreciative of kind and thoughtful comments. It feels helps me feel a little bit like that human connection. But regardless of any of it, I am just grateful to be able to read for you guys and really appreciative of the support for the channel just by being here. So good luck with your question, and I will see you in future readings. Hello, pile 2. Welcome to your yes, no, maybe reading. You guys picked this green or aqua calcite, which I will just place at the top. So before we get into your reading, just kind of a sense I picked up is I kept getting this. I was sort of noticing how the color of these cards were matching the stone, and then the word warmth came to mind, and I was sort of like, wait, what? These are cool colors. But then I was like, oh, maybe it's like this luminosity, and then that really hit for me, and I was like, yeah, maybe there's something very luminous going on here about your question. Okay, so before we jump into the cards, this first part of the reading, before we get into the actual yes, no, maybe, is a bit of an investigation into your question. So if your question is just really simple and black and white, sort of like, is this or isn't this, will they or won't they kind of thing, do they or don't they, that sort of thing, you may want to consider pausing here and finding a secondary question that's more investigative, more open-ended. It could start with how, what, why, just to allow some investigation into your question. If your question is not super black and white, you may not need to do that. I'll leave it up to you. But yeah, pause here if you feel the need to kind of create a secondary question that is suitable for investigation. Okay, so jumping into these cards, we've got courage, potential, ooh, kind of bold stuff, and then trust. Wow, I love the courage and trust kind of flanking potential. This is sort of like really big, bold, you know, message from spirit of like needing to believe in yourself, needing to believe in your, not just yourself, in a specific potential. A potential that you may feel is like far-flung, like unattainable, unreachable, or just like really big for where you feel you are or who you are or whatever. But, you know, it's flanked by courage and trust. And my sense here is that, like, even if you end up getting a no to this question, just by reaching big, just by pushing yourself, you acquire so much experience and wisdom and knowledge that broadens your life anyway. So these aren't meant to give you the yes, no, maybe, so they aren't indicative in any sense of this being a yes, no, maybe, but they are saying that there's something about the background of this question that if you have the courage and trust in yourself to reach, to believe, whatever, something that relates to what you've asked here, you will experience growth. You will broaden who you are by doing that. Okay, let's do some tarot confirmation cards. Four of Swords. The Hierophant. And the King of Cups. Yeah, this is definitely like trust your heart. Trust the authority and command of your heart. It will, it has some ferocity in it. It will, your heart will have the courage that you'll need to push forward in something here. And you may feel, and like why that's coming through is like you may not feel courage at all with the Four of Swords attaching here. You may feel even lackluster or lackadaisical about conjuring some courage. You may feel a little bit tied down. I'm trying to figure out, and I've never seen a Four of Swords where they've like kind of been tangled. Trying to get a feeling of what this feels like to me in this particular Four of Swords. You need to get out of your own head here. It's like you're trying, like maybe there's some meditation going on because you're trying to detangle something. It's like if you just get out of your own way, your courage will rise. There's no amount of thinking or questioning or deliberating that will help you to know if you have the courage you need for something. You just get out of your own way and it rises. So something about getting out of head here, trusting your heart. Your heart has the courage and the ferocity needed. With Hierophant and potential, this could be one of two things. There may be someone who has some wisdom they can share with you that's maybe been through experiences that relate to what you're asking or that have real direct knowledge of something. Or the other way around is that this is you. You have the wisdom you seek already. Whatever relate, and it might be a little bit of both, like you have more wisdom than you realize, which again is like trusting yourself and trusting your potential. But if there is someone who has more experience in something around your question that could be useful, like don't hesitate. They would be useful to speak with or gain some counsel from. Okay, so that is the investigation into something in the background of your question here. And now we're going to move into the actual yes, no, maybe. And I've kind of been through some evolutions on how this is designed, and I finally think I've landed on something that I actually feel good about, which is having you guys choose a pile within this pile. You know, I think that each pile has a certain energetic quality to it that brings people here, because there's, you know, the thing they're asking has a certain resonance, but the outcomes, I think, you know, when you're talking about a collective of people, I struggle with giving one answer to, you know, assuming there's one sort of outcome to a whole collective. Not that that isn't possible, but this just creating piles within a pile just, I think makes, I don't know, it just makes more sense to me. I just have to go with my intuition on that. So I'm going to pull 3 cards. We are going to roll a 12-sided dice with each pile to get the yes, no, maybe, and then the card will give a little bit of insight into that yes, no, maybe. The 12-sided dice 1 through 5 would lean more towards the no. Like if you were to get a 1, that's a pretty direct no. If you were to get a 5, it's like, no, probably not. 5 and 6 are maybe. There's something fluid going on there. There's things still adapting. With that, and then 8 through 12 is more on the side of the yes. So a 12 would be like a hell yes, and an 8 would be like, yeah, probably, you know. So I'm gonna give you about 10 seconds of silence to tune into these 3 piles and feel which one is drawing you in for your aligned yes, no, maybe. Okay, we're going to start with pile 1, and I'm going to roll the dice first. And that's a 1, so that's a pretty hardcore no for you guys. But let's see what kind of context this card adds. It says, bat, listen up. You are working through deep soul patterns. Release any outdated beliefs that surface. Okay, so pile 2, I'm gonna roll the dice. This is pile 2. And we've got a 6, so that's a maybe. There's something still kind of fluid around this. We've got peacock, self-love, time to celebrate you and sorry, this writing is so small. Oh, all. Time to celebrate you and all your magnificent light. And I did pick up on that. There's something luminous for a lot of you in this question. So even the no, there's still some growth here, some luminosity to be found. The 6 here, being a maybe with peacock, makes me feel like leaning into self-love, talking to yourself in beautiful ways, telling yourself that you're beautiful, you know, inside and out, is something that would really affect an outcome here. Okay, pile 3, this pile, let's get your answer. We've got 5, which is a probably no. Let's see what your card says. Snake, Kundalini rising. Channel your creative passion and sensuality. Welcome the transformation. So I do get the sense, you know, all of these piles are either no or maybe. And I do get the sense that it's still worth, you know, investigating this question, reaching. You will still find some expansion by pushing into something in this question. So even though you may not get what you hope to get by moving towards this question or into this question, you will come to know soul patterns better. You will fall into greater self-love. You will have transformations of self. So it's not like, it's still like an important question, I think, whatever you've asked. It's still something worth pushing into, right? Okay, so this is where I'm going to leave you guys. If this resonated, I always appreciate the support in the form of very little things such as likes and shares and subscribes. I'm also always very grateful for kind and thoughtful comments. Love to feel that human touch out there. Regardless of any of that, thank you for coming and supporting my channel. I love doing this, so just happy that it is something people want to tune into and hopefully helpful. All right, I hope you have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are, and I hope to see you in further readings. All right, see you guys. Hello, pile 3, my Opalite pile. Welcome to your yes, no, maybe reading. The first half of this reading, we are going to do a little bit of investigation into your question. So if your question is very black and white, will they, won't they, are they, aren't they, will this, won't this, that kind of thing that's just like really clear cut, I would ask for this part of the question that you create a secondary question to investigate something in the background here. If your question isn't super black and white, I'll leave it up to you whether you want to add on an investigative question, something more open-ended that might start with how, what, why. Maybe it's a complex enough question you don't necessarily need to do that. If you need time to think about that or to create that investigative question, you can pause here. And then we will just move forward once you are ready to kind of look under the surface of your question. Okay, starting with this card, we have Inner Peace, which is really beautiful. And I should say, kind of tuning into your pile, I do like to tune into your stone to kind of connect with the pile when I'm preparing. I feel like something about this question is amplifying something about you or something in your life. So I love seeing inner peace come through. Amplification of inner peace, maybe. Amplification of truth. Amplification of adventures. Wow, this is a pretty interesting I do get the sense that there is some seeking here. The root of this question is like a need to seek, a need to push yourself to seek some kind of truth, some kind of understanding that will bring you an inner peace you are trying to connect with. Yeah, I'm just feeling a lot of, it feels very, I'm just trying to find, because I'm having sensations rather than words come through, so I'm trying to figure out how to articulate it. I'm feeling a lot of richness in whatever you're needing to dig into to find certain understanding or a certain wisdom. And it feels natural. Sometimes if like adventures came up, I would connect to that thought of like push your boundaries in order to expand and broaden. But something about this feels more intimate. Adventures that are like almost like right in your own mind or right in your own yard, right in your own neighborhood, that it's like intriguing, just like digging into something, feeling adventurous in terms of seeing familiar things in a very different way, from a very different lens here. Yeah, I get the sense that something's shaken up your perspective. And so some very familiar things feel very adventurous to you right now. And they're uncovering a lot of truths, which no matter if you get a yes, no, maybe, will ultimately still lead you to greater inner peace. By digging here, by diving into something that feels richly, intimately adventurous. Yeah, however that connects for you. Yeah, so much of that was sensation basis. I don't know that I got the right words out, but I tried. Maybe okay, we're gonna do some tarot confirmation cards, so maybe those will help a little bit. Let's see. 4 of Cups. Oh, maybe. Well, let's get the other tarot out, but something else kind of sparked there. Right, right. Okay. Yeah, this context is definitely helping to paint what's going on here. So I think maybe there's new stirring in you to, like, I feel like something about your question or about you has been kind of hunkering down and a little insecure about coming out of your little cave to engage with something about whatever you've asked about. And this is Spirit urging you to find those, to follow those threads that are pulling at you around needing to know the truth of something here. I think they're weighing heavy on you. There's some truths that are, you have questions about some truths that are pulling you out of your cave. Yeah, and by digging into some truths, it will take a sense of adventure. It will take a sense of exploring why you feel separate about something in relation to your question. Because you're not. And by digging into this question, you will actually realize how richly integrated you actually are into certain things in connection to your question, and that any thoughts of separation are false, they're illusions. So follow those breadcrumbs, those stirrings, those pullings in you of like needing to understand something more deeply and profoundly and truthfully, because they will pull you out of your cave into adventures that will show you how richly integrated you are into life in general, really. Yeah, than you believe you are. Right, okay, so I hope that was helpful insight. You can apply that intuitively however that connects for you to your question. And now we are going to get into the actual yes, no, maybe part. And we are going to have 3 piles to choose from within this pile. As I've experimented with the yes, no, maybe, as well as the more open-ended ask a question this is where I'm kind of landing, that I do like the yes, no, maybe. I understand why that's the one people kind of want versus the open-ended questions. But I feel like with a collective of people coming, we may have a lot of resonance around context in a question and vibes around a question, but I want to give a diversity of outcomes because there are ultimately different questions and, different possibilities within those questions that are here. So we're going to choose 3 piles. Oh, we got, well, that second pile has 2 cards. That's all right. That's what happened. Okay, so I'm going to give you about 10 seconds of silence to tune into these 3 piles, which will hold your yes, no, maybe. And I'm going to roll a 12-sided dice to get the actual yes, no, maybe. 1 through 5 will be, 1 is very much so no, 5 is probably no. 6 and 7 are maybes, 8 to 12 are yes, 12 being hell yes, 8 being, probably yes, that kind of thing. Okay, so we'll roll the dice and then look at your card for a little bit of context around your answer. So I'm going to give you 10 seconds of silence to tune into these 3 piles. Okay, starting with pile 1. If you need more time, you can pause here. But we'll start with pile 1 and we'll roll the dice to get your answer. We've got 5, which is a probably no. Your card is giraffe and it says the bigger picture. Take a step back and gather your thoughts and feelings. So there's something about this question you need to, just like the investigation, it's still worth digging into this, but sort of doing that through taking a step back to see the bigger picture of things. Okay, we're going to move to pile 2 now. Roll your dice first. 1, so a pretty hardcore no. And you're the one with 2 cards. So we've got lion was the first one. Oh my goodness, it's too dark. I've got to, it gets dark now at I'm doing this, right before December and it's dark at 2 p.m. Not really, but feels like it. Okay, so lion, honor your soul and celebrate its journey. Sea turtle, conservation, make conscious choices. Yeah, so something about really tuning more inwardly. I feel like for you guys, what is your soul actually calling you toward? I do like, in the investigation of this question that I feel like no matter the answer you get in the spectrum of yes, no, maybe, there's still things worth kind of digging into in your question, investigating. There's still truths you are going to find by digging into at least the background of your question. Okay, we're going to end with pile 3. And you guys also, oh no, this is 7, sorry, 7. So this is a maybe. So let's see what your card says. Probably need this again. Penguin, diamond light activation. Light and new energies are coming your way. Be open to receive and welcome them in. So the sense I get for you guys with the maybe is there are things still in play that are going to change circumstances. There's still some things that are evolving around your question. And I don't feel like there's anything necessarily that you should or shouldn't do to help you swing more into the yes and out of maybe. It's more like events are still playing out, and until certain things have more fully played out, it's hard to nail down an actual yes no here. So just give this some time and patience and allow for things to evolve a little bit. You may even find that you rephrase this question in a week from now as different information comes in. Okay, I hope this reading was helpful. I hope it resonated. If so, I always appreciate support in the very small, simple ways, such as likes and shares and subscribes. I also am always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments, and definitely appreciate, no matter what, regardless of any of those things, just appreciate you being here and supporting my channel. I super duper enjoy doing these, so it's just great that people want to and get some insight through this. So yeah, thank you for being here, and yeah, I hope to see you in future readings. All right, see you guys. Hello, pile 4. Welcome to your yes, no, maybe reading. Before we jump in, I'm just going to explain a little bit about what we're doing. The first portion of this reading, we are going to do some investigation into your question. So because these are yes, no questions, if you have a very cut and dry yes, no, will they, won't they, is this, isn't this, that kind of thing where it's just like very, very black and white, you may want to phrase a secondary question, another question that's more open-ended, that helps you to investigate maybe why this question is even here for you. So phrasing that as like how, what, why, that kind of thing. If your question isn't super black and white, I'll leave it up to you whether you want to create that investigative question or whether you feel like investigating your question as is appropriate and useful. So pause here if you need to think about that, or if you know you need to kind of come up with that investigative question. Again, how, what, why are great ways to start the phrasing of that. And then after we do the investigation, we will jump into the yes, no, maybe portion of the reading. Okay, so before I turn these cards over, I do like to talk about any feelings that came through as I was preparing your pile. And I always love to kind of tune into your stones to help me tune into the group energy. And I got such an interesting vibe from this one. I got this like, just like a very intricate feeling, a very sophisticated feel around this question or around you, maybe both, and even like a hint of something genius going on here. And this portion of the reading has no indication of getting a yes, no, maybe. It's just sort of investigating certain things, but I am getting this vibe of like something really, I don't know, intricate, genius. Yeah, I've never had that with my yes no's. It's an interesting one. I don't know what else to say about that, so let's see what the cards have to say. Okay, let's dive in. We've got Gateway. Beautiful. Enlightenment. Interesting. And Healing Chaos. Okay, I actually love these two cards together. Gave me some context. Like either one of them on their own, I would still kind of be like, what's going on here? But together, this makes a lot of sense for what I was feeling with your stone. Yeah, there is something either about your question or about a quality you possess in relation to your question, where it's like you really know how to step into complexity here and hold it and find the inspiration within it. Sort of pull out the magic within the chaos. Chaos to me is always indicative of things reordering, of complexity collapsing into itself in order for simplicity to be born. And it's like you're someone who knows, at least around your question, how to step into that kind of space and how to find your direction within deep complexity. Really understanding shadow and light. And I just have to tell you, like, I don't know if you noticed, I paused for a second because I had sort of this fright. Something moved like right in front of my window where I do my reading. There's a window right in front of me, and something moved. And it made me feel like something was right, like a person was right in front of my window, because it was like a big thing. But because of the season, it's now getting dark super early, and it's basically dark outside now, and I always love to use natural light to do my readings, but I've had to turn on like this other light in the room to just help bring some light to this. But because of the darkness and some light inside, there's some shadow work happening. So I think there was like a car maybe passing, and its headlights probably illuminated like tree branches or something, and something moved, like as the light moved, that shadow moved. And then that for me plugs into, kind of caught my attention and then made me realize like there's shadow work happening. And shadow work is exactly, to me, what happens when we enter a phase of chaos. The biggest boundaries of certain things, where things are starting to dissolve and break down, and where shadows are sprung free and start to blend with light, where we just kind of embrace our shadows as our teachers and embrace our light as our illumination, and allow them to coexist beautifully. And something about that is why you can sit in the complexity of something and still find some kind of beautiful order or direction. Pull out some simplicity and meaning in all of the complexity you're sitting in. So yeah, I'm getting that sense that something about you in relation to your question is able to hold a lot here and still find something beautiful, something meaningful. And this is just like confirmation about the life cycle of things, that on the other side of that, there is simplicity and that new, portal opening to something new and fresh and simple on the other side, a gateway, a portal on the other side of the chaos, the rebirth out of the complexity collapsing on itself. Okay, we are going to draw some tarot cards to get a little extra context around each of these. High Priestess. Yeah, you have a sense that something new is coming here. So trust the inner knowings, trust yourself, trust your intuition where it leads you. Because I do get the sense, I often get the sense, and I do in this, that when we are, when that chaos comes and things collapse in on themselves, there are several portals we can walk through to that new beginning. And sometimes it's hard to know which way to go, but this is saying, like I've already said, like, you know how to find that direction within the chaos. There's a really strong inner knowing in you that's going to lead you to exactly that right portal, exactly that right direction. So trust yourself and trust that inner compass and what it's telling you. Two of Coins. For many of you, this could have to be a question, you know, about career or certain things that you're having to balance as a very responsible adult in life. And it's saying, like, you've got this, you are doing it, you're very strong, you know what's worth holding on your plate right now. And then we've got Five of Cups, but it came out reversed, which to me feels like there's something you have already let go of. There's already been a disappointment leading up to this question. It doesn't necessarily have to be about this question, but I think your question is here because of something you've walked away from, something that disappointed you, something that broke or hurt your heart. But I get the sense that you are detangling from this already. You're letting it go. And that's part of what this chaos, healing chaos, is about, is letting things dissolve. Really looking at the light and shadow of it all. Really recognizing what is gone and irretrievable, and what is still available to you and beautiful and worthy of holding and giving energy to and priority to. And just kind of like I feel like something's coming out of a cloud here. You're starting to get your bearings. You're starting to retrust yourself and reconnect with a certain strength you possess, and you are making it through this complex moment. You hold the genius and complexity within you to be able to do whatever is in front of you here, is what I'm feeling. So trust yourself, one foot in front of the other. You are near the other side, is what I'm feeling. Okay, let's now jump into the yes, no, maybe part. And after some experimentation over several weeks, I think I finally have a way of doing this that I really connect with and think it just feels right to me, is to create piles within the pile for your yes, no, maybe answers. So, you know, a lot of people get drawn into a certain resonance of a pile because there's certain messages that apply to you, but it's a collective. And I just, for the way I read, I feel like there should be multiple outcomes for the multitude of questions being brought here. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to pick 3 piles. I am going to give you a little bit of silence in a minute to tune into the 3 piles, to connect to which one feels right to you. And then once you have your pile and I've given you some time, we will roll a 12-sided dice that is a scale from 1 to 12 of yes to, or no to yes, 1 being very no, 5 being probably no, 6 and 7 are a maybe. There's still information needed or time needed for this answer to be certain. And then 8 through 12 is yes, 12 being probably a hell yes, and 8 being a probably yes type of thing. Okay, so I'm going to give you about 10 seconds. So tune into these 3 piles and feel which one is drawing you in. Okay, we are going to start with pile 1 right here, and I'm going to roll the dice first to get your answer, and then we'll get some context from the card. So 3 is a pretty solid no, and I need the light for these because the writing is so small and it's so dark already. Okay, Raven, wise woman, a change is coming. So with that no, to your question, just know that there's a change around the corner that will probably change how you even see this question, or would change the fact of even needing to ask this question. But wise woman makes me think that it's a change that is helping you to step into your power still. Okay, so pile 2, we are going to roll your dice now. And you guys got a 1, which is a solid no. And you guys have Tiger, divine timing, good things come to those who wait. So maybe whatever you asked about isn't right for you, but something more divine, something really great is coming towards you. A little patience is being asked though. Okay, and then pile 3, we will roll your dice now. And you guys also got a 1, so pretty hardcore no. And you guys got polar bear with nurture. Oops. Allow any anxieties and worries to be gently released and offered up to be healed. So nurture. So Spirit is sort of telling you this is a time for a lot of self-care. Like we saw in the investigation, there is that, ooh, did I spill wax here? There is that healing chaos going on, some kind of maybe disappointment that has recently happened. And your answer is asking you to lean into that you need a little bit more time for that healing. So whatever you asked about, it's just like not the right timing, but what is the right timing is really taking care of yourself right now and working on some healing and working on holding some complexity and working on seeing both the beauty of your light and the depth of your shadow and how they both serve beautiful purposes for you and for who you are and for how you hold life. So that is where I'm going to leave you guys. If this resonated, I always appreciate support in the very, very simple ways of giving a thumbs up, a like, a share, a subscribe. I'm also always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments. Those always make me feel really happy. But regardless of any of that, I just appreciate you guys being here and supporting my channel and allowing me to read for you. It's something that brings me a lot of pleasure. So yeah, if people get something from it, that is cherry on top to me. So yeah, I hope you have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are, and I will see you in future readings. All right, see you guys.